Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, June the 11th, presented by Mercury. We're going to connect with Tom Ott and talk about Guntersville. We're going to talk to Lee Pitts about Weiss Lake and Neely Henry. And, of course, connect with Josh Herron to talk Logan Martin and Lay Lake. It's been a dynamic weather week. Let's hear what the guys have to say. Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, June the 11th, presented by Mercury. It's time for us to connect with Josh Herron, who's going to tip us off to everything going on at Logan Martin and Lay Lake. Josh, we have seen some water going through this system this week with some really heavy rains. What's that done to Logan Martin and what's that done to Lay Lake?
Man, if you're a weekday fisherman, it's not a bad gig. Generally, a day or two after this water really spikes up, especially this time of the year, man, it can get really fun. You can catch them off picnic tables, basketball goals, lawn chairs. These fish get really, really shallow. You catch them on a blade, buzzbait, chatterbait. It doesn't happen a ton, but when it does, especially during the summer, man, these fish will really, they will crawl up in people's backyards. And it can be awesome. It just needs a kind of a day or two to stabilize. I like it when you pull up at Logan and half the seawalls are underwater. It generally means it's probably going to be a halfway decent day. But
what area of the lake do you tend to target this time of the year when stuff like this happens? Do you go up or do you just kind of go out where in the middle of the lake where you've been?
Man, I kind of like that area from Stimley Bridge to the park. Seems to be the most consistent area. The Coosa is really notorious, especially on places like Lay. It seems like everywhere on the Coosa, minus Logan Martin, has a big pinch point in it. Neely Henry, you got Minnesota Bend, and that really backs water up on the north side of it, and water will it acts like a toilet. Water flushes out the bottom of it, but can't get through the top end enough. So you're liable to be 6 foot low on the bottom end and 2 foot flooded in the city. Lay Lake acts the same way. You got the Narrows. The Narrows, the water will fall off really hard below the Narrows, and it'll kind of spike up above it. So you're going to be 2 foot low at the lower dam, and up above Beeswax, you'll be out in the freaking bushes. So that the middle of these rivers is kind of like the glory land as far as consistency goes, as water level anyway. So like on Logan, for instance, I like the area from Stimley Bridge to the park just because the water stays most consistent right in that area. Lay Lake, I like, especially when it gets like this and they get dumping a ton of water, I like from the 400 ramp to just north of Beeswax. So that kind of that mid-range again. But on the opposite end of that, after you get 2 or 3 days of this much water, it'll almost flatten out. It's like it takes that long for the current, even with the gates running, the rivers will actually flatten out. So after 2 or 3 days of water cycling that fast, you can kind of venture a little farther down and not notice so bad of a drop in the river.
Well, as always, Josh, we appreciate all your insights. Thanks for the time, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, June the 11th, presented by Mercury. It's time for us to head on up to the big lake in the sky, Guntersville, Alabama. Talk to our good friend Tom Ott. Tom, what's happening up there? You guys won any tournaments lately?
The tournament season's kind of winding down a little bit. And, of course, this weekend there's a big deal. The ABT fellows are there, and it's going to be another crowded Saturday out on the river. But you just got to fit in where you can fit in. That's kind of the deal. I'm telling you right now, the ledge fish have been the winning those big tournaments, that kind of deal. That's where everybody wants to be, but just don't forget the grass. That grass bite is really hot right now. Get you a 6-inch worm, go out there with a little 3/8 ounce weight, and you're going to catch them. We're having some 20, 25, 30 fish days, catching a lot of fish, and you can catch some big fish doing that. But I really think those ABT guys, they're going to have that ledge spot, but I really think somebody's going to win catching some key fish early in that grass, whether it be a topwater bite, maybe even a flipping bite's coming on. The frog bite's really happening right now. Everybody's going to exploit that, but there's so much grass and there's only so many ledges, so you can do the math there.
Well, I know that things are still a little odd. We're up here at the Bass Pro Tour event at Watts Bar, and those guys all expected to be completely offshore. But I know that docks have played. I know that shallow grass beds have played. I know that it's been a varied kind of thing here this week. What are you seeing at Guntersville that's making that a reality?
I'll be honest with you, Dano. I think a lot of pressure for one thing. I mean, they just get a ton of pressure. I mean, these fish that are getting idled over scatter really quickly. It's to the point now where a crankbait's going to really scatter your school quickly. So I think a lot of that, and it might be more a little bit of frustration on the fisherman's part that they're staying out of trying to find something a little bit different. But the fish are just really hard to catch out there unless you catch some clean ones, some new fish that are moving in. They're just difficult to catch. But those fish have really moved into the grass. The brim have come off the bed. There's a ton of brim out there moving around. And these bass just go in there and gorge on them. A good mayfly hatch last week. We're going to have more mayflies this weekend, I'm sure. Once those brim get to popping, I mean, the bass really stick around. They're just going to follow that forage for sure.
Well, Tom, as always, man, we appreciate everything. Go slam some this weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, guys, I'm looking forward to it. I'll talk to you soon. Tight lines.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, June the 11th, presented by Mercury. Time for us to head on up to Weiss Lake with the crappie king of the world, Lee Pitts. Lee, what's going on at Weiss Lake these days?
This week's kind of we've had a little bit of everything. We've had a little bit of rain and some wind, so that's helped the grass bite. Swimming a jig, pitching in through there, and even a spinnerbait bite has been pretty good. But then we get a little sunshine pop out, and these fish kind of move. You'll have an early morning deal, buzzbait, spinnerbait, a little bit of frog bite, and then you better get to the docks. These fish are really trying to get out of some of this sunlight and get under those docks, and even starting to move out. What's so crazy is on Weiss right now, some of these fish are trying to get out there deep. So a little bit of everything's going on right now. You can start out early in the grass and just move to the docks and then bump on out there to some of those ledge fish.
And I'm sure the crappie are kind of doing their dock thing in the deeper docks and then staying out as well. Let's turn to Neely Henry, because I know the lake has been absolutely pounded by rain, flooding in Gadsden and everything. What are you seeing at Neely Henry? What do you expect to be happening there right now?
Neely is going to get better. Exactly what you said. There's been the last 2 weeks, it's had an awful lot of pressure on it. I don't know what the difference is between Weiss and Neely. Weiss has had a pretty good grass bite. Neely, the fish in the grass just hadn't been there. You can catch some small fish in it, but some of the bigger fish have kind of moved out a little bit. I know the dock bite's been pretty good, flipping some kind of soft plastics on that and even a jig. Some of these fish are already starting to move out a little bit deeper there. It all depends on current too. If you get a little bit of current moving, flushing those bait fish down, some of these big spots, they're kind of pulling out on some of the rocky points and some of these little ledges. I say ledges on Neely when you can get off that river channel and find some stumps off that break. That's about what you got there. But some of these fish are starting to move out that way.
Well, I know that the crappie bite's probably a little bit tough right now as the water's getting a little bit warm at Neely Henry as well. But you can catch some brim and you can throw some catfish baits out there at night. There's a few things you can do if bass is not your deal. But Lee, as always, man, we appreciate all the time that you spend with us. And we hope you have a really great weekend this weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, guys. Thank you. Talk to you next week.
Well, that'll do it for our Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, June the 11th, presented by Mercury. Thanks to the guys and all the information that they share with us. Helps us put a few more fish in our boats. Don't forget to stop on Bucks Island if you're looking for a boat, that boat of your dreams. See Katie and Melissa and Patrick in sales. If you need service on your boat, talk to Angela and the guys down there. And then, of course, Pat and everybody in parts will do everything they can to help you. And then if you're looking for tackle, go see Colin and Jamie upstairs in the loft. Thanks for spending the time with us and for being the best part of Bucks Island. We appreciate everything, and we'll talk to you again next week.